You're about to uncover a side of history that doesn't fit in textbooks. Ancient tools that seem too advanced, civilizations that knew more than they should have, and engineering that still puzzles modern science. You probably know that the pyramids are precise, that Stonehenge aligns with the stars. But when it comes to temples built before agriculture, surgical techniques from over 1,000 years ago, or steel weapons centuries ahead of their time, the questions get stranger. And the answers? Still missing. From Göbekli Tepe's impossible timelines to Inca brain surgery that rivaled 20th century survival rates. From Viking swords made of nearly pure crucible steel to a wooden Egyptian artifact that looks suspiciously like a glider, this is not just ancient history. This is lost technology we're only beginning to understand. And before we begin, a quick shout out to our first 150 subscribers. You've helped build a community that isn't just watching history, but questioning it. You've unlocked the unknown, and we're just getting started. If you're new here, take your shot at unlocking it too. Hit subscribe, join the team, and let's go deeper together. So grab a snack, settle in, and let this play in the background while we explore the mysteries history still refuses to explain. Beneath the turquoise waters off the Greek island of Antikythera, a team of sponge divers stumbled upon an astonishing find in 1901. A find that would go on to rewrite everything we thought we knew about the technological capabilities of the ancient world. Entangled among the corroded cargo of a Roman-era shipwreck were fragments of bronze, seemingly insignificant at first glance. But these pieces belonged to something extraordinary, a device now known as the Antikythera mechanism, a machine so complex that it would remain unmatched for over 1,000 years. To the divers, it looked like nothing more than a sea-encrusted lump of metal and wood. But over decades of investigation, with the help of X-ray imaging and advanced scanning, the true nature of the object began to emerge. Inside the fragments was a system of gears, bronze, hand-cut, and arranged with a level of sophistication that defied its age. This wasn't a piece of art or a symbolic model. It was a functioning analog computer, built over 2,000 years ago, centuries ahead of its time. The device's inner workings. The Antikythera mechanism contained more than 30 finely crafted bronze gears, each interlocked in a way that enabled the device to calculate and display astronomical phenomena. It could predict solar and lunar eclipses, model the phases of the moon, and chart the positions of the known planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, with surprising accuracy. It also included a lunar calendar, a solar calendar, and dials showing the timing of major athletic events like the Olympic Games. This wasn't merely a calendar or a sky map. It was a machine that operated with mechanical precision, able to simulate celestial cycles decades into the future. And all this was accomplished with nothing more than hand tools, bronze, and ancient knowledge. The gear teeth, carved with mathematical precision, rivaled the quality of 18th century clockwork, yet they were made more than a millennium earlier, in an age historians never associated with complex mechanics. Origins and theories. Who made it? And how? These remain central questions. Some historians believe the device originated from Rhodes, a center of astronomical study and engineering in the ancient world. Others think it may have been inspired by the genius of Archimedes, whose own mechanical designs were centuries ahead of his peers. But there is no surviving documentation. No ancient text describes such a mechanism. No workshop tools have been found. It's as if the knowledge simply vanished. This mystery has led to bold speculation. Some researchers propose that the device represents the surviving output of a hidden tradition of ancient engineering, a technology that may have been more widespread than we realize, only to be lost to history by war, natural disaster, or systemic collapse. Others float fringe ideas. Was it the product of a forgotten civilization? Could there have been other devices like it, now resting on the ocean floor or decayed beyond recognition? Modern investigations and reconstruction. Thanks to modern science, we're getting closer to understanding how it worked, and perhaps why it was built. CT scans and 3D reconstructions have revealed inner structures too fragile to extract physically. In 2021, scientists recreated what the front gear assembly might have looked like, discovering that the mechanism could have been operated by a hand crank, displaying its results on a series of circular dials. One dial showed the zodiac and another showed the calendar, while subsidiary dials tracked eclipse cycles and planetary motions. The rear of the device featured a spiral dial that predicted eclipses based on the 223-month Saros cycle. Even the coloration of lunar phases was taken into account, with small balls showing light and dark sides of the moon. These layers of design go far beyond basic utility. They reflect a desire not just to measure the cosmos, but to model it, to bring the sky down into the palm of one's hand. Yet, many parts of the device are still missing, and some inscriptions remain only partially deciphered. Scientists have managed to interpret a few of these faded texts, revealing instructions and labels that hint at the machine's full range of functions. But the more we learn, the more the mystery deepens. Unanswered questions. Why was such a device built, and who was it built for? Was it a tool for navigation, for education, or for religious ritual? Was it meant for scholars, seers, or royalty? And if the knowledge existed to build such a mechanism, why do we find no other examples like it in the historical record? Could it be that this was not the only one, just the only survivor? Or was it an outlier, created by a single workshop or genius whose secrets died with them? More provocatively, is there a deeper technological past waiting to be uncovered, one that challenges the conventional view of ancient capabilities? The Antikythera mechanism challenges assumptions. It disrupts timelines. And it poses one of archaeology's most provocative questions. How much have we forgotten? More than a relic, the Antikythera mechanism is a message in bronze from a forgotten genius, or perhaps an entire lineage of thinkers lost to time. A whisper from an age we thought we understood, and a reminder that the past still holds secrets that could rewrite the story of civilization itself. In the heart of ancient Rome, monumental structures like the Pantheon, aqueducts, and harbor walls have withstood centuries of weather, war, natural disasters, and neglect, and yet they remain standing. At the center of this architectural resilience lies a material that continues to intrigue and puzzle modern engineers: Roman concrete. Unlike today's concrete, which can start to crack and decay within just a few decades, Roman concrete seems almost immune to time. It's not just durable. In some ways, it behaves like a living material. Cracks that appear in Roman structures conceal themselves, thanks to a remarkable interaction between natural compounds and a forgotten method of engineering: the secret recipe. Researchers have uncovered that Roman concrete was composed of volcanic ash, lime, calcium oxide, and seawater. When combined, these elements triggered a rare chemical reaction, creating a matrix far more resilient than modern cement-based mixtures. The volcanic ash was key to the entire process. It reacted with the lime and water to form crystals of a rare mineral called aluminous tobermarite. Aluminous tobermarite, with its unique crystalline structure, reinforces the concrete from within. This mineral resists fracturing and plays a role in the material's extraordinary longevity. Even more fascinating is how small cracks can stimulate the continued growth of binding minerals, effectively allowing the concrete to self-heal over time. Geological selection and intent. Rome's builders didn't choose volcanic ash randomly. They deliberately sourced it from regions surrounding Mount Vesuvius, especially from areas near modern-day Naples. The ash from these volcanic zones contained just the right chemical balance to form durable bonding crystals. This reveals an empirical knowledge of geochemistry and materials engineering far beyond what historians once believed possible for the ancient world. Seawater superpower. Roman concrete didn't just survive in dry structures, it thrived in seawater. In fact, marine constructions like harbor piers became stronger over time as minerals from seawater reacted with the concrete's components. This phenomenon is still visible today in submerged Roman ports like Portus Cosenus and Caesarea in Israel, where portions of underwater structures remain remarkably intact after more than 2,000 years. The marine formula hardened not by drying but by undergoing a long-term chemical process known as pozzolanic reaction. Modern engineers often consider seawater damaging to concrete, but for the Romans, it was part of the recipe for durability. Architectural adaptability. Roman engineers weren't applying a one-size-fits-all formula. They adjusted the composition of the concrete depending on the project. For massive land-based structures like the Pantheon, they used lighter volcanic rocks like pumice higher up in the dome to reduce overall weight, while maintaining structural integrity. This customization not only reflects technical ingenuity but also a deep understanding of physics, load distribution, and long-term architectural planning. What happened to the knowledge? Despite its brilliance, this knowledge all but disappeared following the fall of the Roman Empire. Historians and scientists are still unsure why. Some suggest it was closely guarded by builder guilds and never widely disseminated. Others point to the collapse of Rome's extensive trade network, which may have cut off access to the specific types of volcanic ash essential for its production. As centuries passed, the secret slipped into obscurity. It wasn't until recent years, through microscopic analysis and chemical reconstruction, that modern researchers started to crack the code. Institutions like MIT and the University of Utah have replicated small samples of Roman concrete showing similar self-healing properties. But the process of scaling this up for use in large-scale infrastructure remains a work in progress. Environmental implications and future potential. If successfully revived, Roman concrete could drastically reduce the environmental impact of modern construction. Today's cement production contributes significantly to global CO2 emissions. In contrast, Roman concrete not only lasts longer, reducing the need for repairs and replacements, but also requires lower temperature production methods, making it more sustainable. Imagine bridges, seawalls, and high-rise buildings that don't require constant maintenance, or better yet, heal themselves when stress fractures appear. As cities face the pressures of aging infrastructure and climate change, revisiting this ancient innovation could offer practical solutions to very modern problems. A legacy still unfolding. Roman concrete is more than a superior building material. It's a remnant of ancient ingenuity that forces us to rethink what early civilizations were capable of. The question remains, did the Romans truly understand the chemical genius behind their formula? Or did they inherit this method from even earlier societies, now lost to history? It's possible that this wasn't merely Roman innovation, but the culmination of knowledge passed down through generations. Were there even older builders, from the Etruscans, Greeks, or unknown cultures, who experimented with ash, lime, and water until they discovered the perfect mixture? Ultimately, Roman concrete is not just a mystery of chemistry, but a mystery of memory, a forgotten achievement hidden in plain sight, standing tall for over 2 millennia. As we rediscover its secrets, it reminds us that progress isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes, it's about looking back and realizing that the future was once built in stone. Among the dusty remnants of ancient Mesopotamia, one discovery stands out not for its grandeur but for its strange, electrifying implications: the so-called Baghdad Battery. Discovered near modern-day Baghdad in the 1930s, this small clay jar might have been the world's first electrochemical cell, a primitive battery, created nearly 2,000 years ago. The discovery and contents. The artifact was unearthed in the village of Khajurabu, just outside Baghdad. At first glance, it seemed unremarkable, a small, yellowish clay jar about 5 inches tall. But what set it apart was what lay inside: a copper cylinder wrapped around an iron rod, sealed with asphalt. There was also evidence that the jar could have once been filled with an acidic liquid such as vinegar or lemon juice. This combination mirrors the basic components of a modern galvanic cell: 2 dissimilar metals and an electrolyte. When connected, such a setup can generate a small electric current. The idea that this was done intentionally, nearly 2 millennia ago, has ignited intense debate. Was it really a battery? Theories abound. One camp believes the Baghdad battery was used for electroplating, the process of using electricity to deposit a thin layer of metal onto a surface, possibly gold or silver over a base object. If true, it would radically shift our understanding of ancient technological capabilities. But there's a catch. There's no direct evidence of ancient electroplated artifacts from the same time and place. Some scientists argue that the device may have been used for religious or medical purposes. Others believe it might not have been a battery at all, but a simple storage vessel. Yet the precision of the internal components raises questions. Was it designed with purpose? Or was it a random assemblage that just happens to mimic electrical engineering? If even one example worked intentionally, what does that say about the forgotten scope of ancient science? Experimental replications. In the 1970s, researcher Willard Gray recreated the device using replicas and acidic electrolytes. The result? It produced between 0.5 and 1 volt of electricity, enough to give the battery theory some weight. Later experiments, including some conducted by Mythbusters, confirmed that the jar could indeed function as a battery under the right conditions. However, critics argue that the device's voltage was too weak for any meaningful use, especially in the absence of wires, switches, or other electrical infrastructure. This raises more questions. Was it part of a larger, lost system? Or are we projecting modern concepts onto ancient artifacts? What if it was only one component of a more complex network, now lost to erosion, looting, or time itself? Could these fragments be the visible tip of a submerged iceberg of forgotten knowledge? Cultural and historical context. The Parthian Empire, which ruled over Iraq at the time of the battery's estimated creation, was known more for its warfare than its technological sophistication. This has led some to speculate whether the knowledge to create such a device originated elsewhere, perhaps inherited from earlier civilizations like the Babylonians or even through contact with the Greeks or Persians. Could it be a case of lost knowledge, a forgotten chapter in the book of electrical experimentation? If so, It opens the door to the possibility that ancient civilizations had glimpses of technologies far ahead of their time. If just one ancient scientist had stumbled upon the principles of electricity, even by accident, what other forgotten sparks of insight might have flickered and gone dark? Alternative interpretations. Not everyone buys into the battery idea. Some archaeologists suggest the jar was used for storing scrolls or sacred texts, and the metal components were meant to keep the scrolls upright. Others think it might have held sacred oil and the inner components had ritualistic or symbolic meanings. There's also the question of scale. Only a handful of these jars have been found, and there's no widespread evidence of similar technology. This singularity fuels both skepticism and intrigue. If it were a true innovation, why didn't it spread? Or did it, only to vanish in the fires of empire collapses and the erosion of time? Modern implications. If the Baghdad battery was, in fact, an early experiment in electricity, it would mean that the timeline of electrical discovery needs revision. It also challenges our assumptions about the linear progression of technology, the idea that advancement only flows forward. In a modern world increasingly focused on rediscovering sustainable, low-energy tech, this ancient artifact could even inspire new designs. What if the simplest, most efficient battery designs were hidden in history all along? Could it be that we're not the first civilization to grapple with natural energy, only the first to industrialize it at scale? An ancient spark. Whether or not it was ever used as a power source, the Baghdad battery remains a mystery. Its existence forces us to consider that ancient people may have experimented with natural forces in ways we still don't fully understand. Was it a coincidence of components, or a conscious leap into the realm of electricity, long before its official discovery? The artifact poses a timeless question: how much have we truly discovered, and how much have we merely rediscovered? And if sparks like this could be found in clay jars buried in forgotten tombs, what else is still hidden beneath the dust of time, waiting to be seen for what it really is?
لم يكن هذا إطراءً بل تحدياً للصور الساذجة السائلة، فبينما صورهم المجتمع على أنهن سلبيات معتمدات، رآهن نيتشه حاسبات حدسيات واعيات بعمق لتأثيرهن. لم يلومهن على السطحية بل الضرورة. في عالم حرم فيه من السلطة المباشرة، تعلمت النساء البقاء عبر التمثيل والإتقان الظاهري. لم يتهمهن بالتزييف، بل أعجب بقدرتهن على التعايش في عالم عدائي من خلال إتقان السطح. بينما يخلط الرجال.
No one has truly recreated the original. So what was Damascus steel? And how did ancient blacksmiths create something so advanced? It still outclasses modern metallurgy in many ways. The origins. Despite its name, Damascus steel did not originate in Damascus. The term likely became popular through medieval trade networks, where swords made in or sold through the Syrian city gained a fearsome reputation. But the steel itself, the raw material, came from a very different source. Historical and metallurgical evidence points to ancient India and Sri Lanka as the origin of this remarkable material. Known as wood steel, this high-carbon alloy was produced as early as 300 BC. Wood's ingots were traded extensively along the Silk Road and across the Islamic world, eventually reaching Middle Eastern swordsmiths who developed the forging techniques that gave Damascus blades their distinctive patterns and properties. Understanding wood steel. Wood steel was produced in crucibles, sealed ceramic containers heated to high temperatures. iron ore and organic materials, often
بل
leaves or
الضرورة.
wood, were
في عالم
combined,
حرم فيه
allowing
من
carbon to
السلطة
diffuse into
المباشرة،
the metal over time.
تعلمت النساء البقاء
This
عبر
method
التمثيل
produced an ultra-high
والإتقان
carbon
الظاهري.
steel with an
لم
unusual
يتهمهن بالتزييف،
microstructure.
بل أعجب
When forged
بقدرتهن على
properly, the
التعايش في
resulting
عالم
blades
عدائي
exhibited
من
unique
خلال
patterns
إتقان
caused
بدافع
by the
سطحية،
alignment of
بل
iron
الضرورة.
carbide structures.
في عالم حرم فيه
These weren't
من
just
السلطة
aesthetic.
المباشرة،
They were a direct
تعلمت
result
النساء
of
البقاء
advanced
عبر
material
التمثيل
behavior.
والإتقان الظاهري.
Scientific
لم
studies in recent
يتهمهن
decades have
بالتزييف،
found traces
بل
of
أعجب
carbon
بقدرتهن على
nanotubes and
التعايش في
cementite
عالم
nanowires
عدائي
within
من
preserved
خلال إتقان
Damascus
السطح.
blades.
بينما
These structures contribute to the material's strength, edge retention, and flexibility, a kind of nanotechnology achieved a millennium before the concept even existed. The art of forging. Transforming wood's ingots into legendary blades required extreme skill. The smith had to control temperature with remarkable precision. Too hot and the carbon content would be lost. Too cold and the metal wouldn't form the necessary structures. Oxygen exposure during the process could also destroy the internal patterns. The technique involved repetitive heating, forging, and folding, but unlike Japanese swordsmithing, which emphasized visual perfection, Damascus forging was guided by performance outcomes and a hidden internal architecture. It wasn't just technique, it was also timing, intuition, and possibly even an empirical knowledge passed down orally. Some researchers suggest that minute changes in charcoal composition, atmospheric humidity, or iron or impurities could alter the final blade's properties, variables nearly impossible to document but critical to success. Decline and disappearance. By the 18th century, true Damascus steel had vanished. The reasons remain speculative.
لم يلومهن على ذلك،
One theory
بل
is that
وصف
the ore
الواقع كما
sources
هو.
in India,
في العلاقات
particularly
البشرية،
those rich in
الأقوى ليس
vanadium
من
and
يرفع
other trace
صوته،
elements,
بل من
were
لا يحتاج
depleted or
لذلك،
became
وأن
inaccessible.
البشر لا تحركهم
Another is
الحقيقة،
that the
بل
trade
المظاهر.
disruptions from
ورأى في
colonial
النساء هذا
expansion and
الحدس
shifting
يتحول إلى
empires
فن،
severed the
لا
flow
بدافع
of what's
السطح.
in
لم يكن
use.
هذا إطراءً،
But there's
بل
also
تحدياً
the
للصور
question of
الساذجة
secrecy.
السائدة.
The
فبينما
forging
صورهم
techniques were
المجتمع
likely
على
guarded
أنهن
closely by
سلبيات
master
معتمدات،
blacksmiths and passed
رآهن
down
نيتشه
through
حاسبات
apprenticeships, not
حدسيات
writing.
واعيات بعمق
When the last true
لتأثيرهن.
masters died
لم
or were
يلومهن على
displaced,
ذلك.
the knowledge may have died with them. Later attempts to replicate the steel in Europe during the Industrial Revolution failed to reproduce the same internal structures or properties, even with similar visual patterns. Modern replications and limits. Today, many blades are marketed as Damascus, but most are pattern-welded steel, visually similar but structurally different. Modern metallurgy has achieved incredible feats, but scientists still debate whether we've truly rediscovered Damascus steel. Researchers like Dr. John Verhoeven and bladesmiths such as Alfred Pendray have come close by experimenting with woods-like steel and controlled forging methods. Some laboratory studies using scanning electron microscopes have verified the presence of similar microstructures, but achieving consistent, scalable replication remains elusive. Was it just materials, or something more? The mystery raises deeper questions. Did ancient blacksmiths simply stumble upon a perfect recipe by chance, or did they possess a deeper, more experimental understanding of metallurgy? Some researchers believe that early Indian metallurgists may have used techniques akin to thermomechanical processing, a concept now taught in materials science courses. Alternative theories even propose that certain ancient cultures had access to naturally occurring alloys or ores with rare elemental compositions that are no longer available. If true, the unique mineralogy may have played as large a role as the craftsmanship itself. Unanswered questions. How did Indian metallurgists first discover the crucible steel technique? Were there other, now lost variants of Damascus-like steel in China, Persia, or Africa? Why do some preserved blades exhibit properties inconsistent with modern replicas? Could historical texts, such as those from Islamic alchemists or Indian metallurgical treatises, hold forgotten clues? And perhaps most intriguingly, if we fully understand and replicate this ancient process, what would it mean for future engineering? Could this rediscovery transform how we design long-lasting tools, medical instruments, or aerospace components? Damascus steel today.
لم يلومهن على ذلك، بل وصف الواقع كما هو. في العلاقات البشرية، الأقوى ليس من يرفع صوته، بل من لا يحتاج لذلك، وأن البشر لا تحركهم الحقيقة، بل المظاهر. ورأى في النساء هذا الحدس يتحول إلى فن، لا بدافع
السطح. It stood at the edge of science and mystery, where precision met secrecy. Until we fully decode its lost process, Damascus steel will remain one of history's most fascinating technological enigmas. A vanished innovation, sharper than steel and wrapped in centuries of forgotten fire. High in the thin air of the Bolivian Andes, where the wind howls across the Altiplano at nearly 13,000 feet, stand the shattered remains of one of history's greatest architectural mysteries. Pumapunku, the gateway of the Puma, is a collection of stone ruins that shouldn't exist. Not here. Not like this. Not from a civilization that flourished over 1,000 years ago, long before modern tools or machinery. The first European to document these ruins was Spanish conquistador Pedro Cieza de Leon in 1549. He dismissed them as unimportant compared to the Inca sites he'd seen. For centuries, Pumapunku remained just another pile of ancient stones until archaeologists began taking measurements. What they found would rewrite everything we thought we knew about ancient South American engineering. The precision is staggering. Massive andesite blocks, some weighing as much as 130 tons equivalent to 25 adult elephants, were cut with geometric perfection. Their surfaces are so
on the
flat
planet,
that when placed
work
together,
that shows clear signs of a form of ancient,
them.
advanced technology
The
that must have been
angles
used in its creation.
Who
Who did this work is a real mystery, as the self-evident level of technological capability that's on display here. This is something that is seemingly well beyond what we know of the capabilities of the primitive people who are generally attributed with
but their
its
known
construction.
tools, simple copper chisels and stone hammers, couldn't possibly achieve this level of precision. Local Aymara legends tell of Viracocha, a bearded god who built Pumapunku in a single night using stones that flowed like water. Some researchers point to an ancient plant called kona that may have chemically softened the stone. The juice of this plant, when combined with certain minerals, is said to have temporarily altered the stone's molecular structure, allowing it to be shaped like clay before hardening again. While no direct evidence of this process has been found at Pumapunku, similar plant-based stoneworking techniques were documented among the Inca centuries later. The transportation of these massive stones presents another layer of mystery. The nearest andesite quarry is 50 miles away across rugged terrain. Without wheels or beasts of burden, moving these megaliths would have required extraordinary methods. Some theorists suggest they may have used a system of log rollers and ramps, while others propose they waited for the rainy season when temporary rivers could have helped float the stones part of the distance. More speculative ideas include the use of sound vibration or magnetic levitation techniques hinted at in other ancient cultures but never proven. The truth may lie in some forgotten combination of simple physics and human ingenuity that we've yet to rediscover. Modern technology has only deepened the enigma. 3D laser scans reveal tool marks invisible to the naked eye, yet they don't match any known ancient tools. German archaeologist Arthur Poznansky claimed the site's alignment matches celestial positions from 15,000 years ago, though this remains controversial. Recent material analysis shows traces of unknown substances on the stone's surfaces. Could these be remnants of ancient stone softening techniques? The scans also show that the entire complex was designed to be earthquake-resistant, with interlocking stones that shift rather than collapse during seismic activity and architectural innovation that modern engineers only perfected in the last century.
Who did this work is a real mystery, as the self-evident level of technological capability that's on display here. This is something that is seemingly well beyond what we know of the capabilities of the primitive people who are generally attributed with its construction.
Some weighing over 800 tons. In Egypt, the granite boxes in the Serapeum show similar machine-like precision, while Stonehenge's precisely placed monoliths demonstrate another culture's mastery of massive stone movement. Were these all independent developments, or could there have been some lost common source of knowledge? The absence of any clear evolutionary progression in these technologies suggests the latter possibility cannot be easily dismissed. As we stand before these impossible ruins, two haunting questions remain. If the Tiwanaku could achieve this level of precision 1,000 years ago, what other knowledge have we lost to time? And more unsettling still, if civilizations before us could rise to such heights only to disappear without a trace, what does that say about our own technological arrogance? Pumapunku stands not just as a monument to ancient achievement, but as a silent warning about the fragility of human knowledge across the ages. In our rush toward the future, how many ancient truths have we left buried in the past? The transportation enigma, moving the impossible. The logistics of transporting Pumapunku's massive stones remain one of archaeology's greatest puzzles. The andesite blocks originated from a quarry near Lake Titicaca, requiring movement across 50 miles of mountainous terrain
anywhere
at
on the
extreme
planet.
altitude.
Work that shows clear
Conventional
signs
theories
of a
suggest
form
the
of
Tiwanaku
ancient
may have
advanced
used log
technology
rollers,
that must have
but
been used in
experiments
its
show this
creation.
method would
Who
have
did this
required
work
thousands
is
of
a
workers
real
with
mystery,
no
as
evidence of
the
such
self-evident
labor
level
forces in
of
the
technological
record.
capability that's
More
on
intriguing
display here.
possibilities
This is
emerge
something that
when we
is seemingly
examine
well
indigenous
beyond
knowledge.
what we know of the
Some Aymara
capabilities
elders
of the
speak of their
primitive people
ancestors
who are
using
generally
singing
attributed
stones,
with its
megaliths
construction.
that became lighter
The
when
incredible
certain chants were performed. While this sounds fantastical, modern physics experiments have demonstrated that specific sound frequencies can reduce friction and even levitate small objects. Could the Tiwanaku have discovered an ancient application of acoustic physics? Alternative theories suggest the stones may have been moved during the rainy season, when temporary waterways formed across the Altiplano. By constructing reed barges or floating platforms, the builders could have transported the blocks significant distances with far less effort. This would explain the lack of wear marks from dragging, but raises new questions about how they lifted the stones onto and off these watercraft. The most controversial transportation theory involves the concept of geopolymer, the idea that the stones were cast in place using a form of ancient concrete. While this would explain the precision fits, geological analysis confirms the andesite was quarried, not poured. High in the heart of the Viking Age, amid the clashing swords and shields of the 9th and 10th centuries, a remarkable development in metallurgy was unfolding. The Ulfbert Viking swords, revered for their superior quality, were created using a mysterious and advanced form of steel. These weapons, often associated with Viking warriors, were not only sharp and strong but also made with an almost pure form of steel, something unheard of in medieval times. What makes these swords truly fascinating is the sheer quality of the steel. While other swords of the era were made with a more primitive and pure iron, Ulfbert's swords were crafted from steel that contained a remarkably low amount of slag, a byproduct of the smelting process. This purity allowed the steel to be stronger and more flexible, giving the sword the edge it needed for battle. The origins of these swords remain a mystery. The name, Ulfbert, itself is believed to be a reference to the word wolf, or a possible reference to a master blacksmith. The swords were forged by an unknown group of skilled artisans, believed to have been part of a secretive tradition. Though the Viking blacksmiths were talented, the production methods behind these swords suggest a highly advanced knowledge of metallurgy far beyond the capabilities of typical Viking craftsmanship. Research into the Ulfbert swords has revealed that their steel composition was something that couldn't have been achieved with the tools available at the time. The pure steel used in these swords was forged using a method known as crucible steelmaking. This technique involved melting iron in a small crucible with a high degree of control over temperature, creating a more uniform and pure steel. This method of production was far ahead of its time, only rediscovered during the Industrial Revolution over 800 years later. The discovery of these swords has raised several questions about the level of knowledge and technology possessed by the Vikings. It's believed that these swords were manufactured in the Rhine Valley, a region well known for its metalworking. While many theories exist, one of the most fascinating is that the Ulfbert swords were forged with the use of advanced techniques passed down from earlier civilizations. Some have speculated that the knowledge of steelmaking was either inherited from the Romans or somehow brought into Viking culture by trade or travel. This would imply a far-reaching network of cultural exchange that allowed ancient techniques to be preserved and passed on. The remarkable quality of these swords also points to an interesting aspect of Viking society. The Ulfbert sword was not just a tool of war but a symbol of status and prestige. A sword bearing the Ulfbert mark indicated that it was a weapon of superior craftsmanship, likely only in the possession of elite warriors or wealthy individuals. They were not only prized for their strength and cutting ability but also for the prestige that came with owning one. It's also worth noting that these swords were often marked with the word Ulfbert engraved in the metal, sometimes in a stylized form, sometimes written in Latin. Interestingly, these swords weren't mass-produced but were crafted individually, each one bearing the marks of its maker. The Ulfbert sword, therefore, represented the craftsmanship of a highly specialized blacksmith, possibly someone whose work was regarded as exceptional and whose name became synonymous with quality. In addition to their exceptional steel, the sword's design further highlights their advanced manufacturing. The blades were typically long, narrow, and double-edged, designed for both cutting and thrusting. The hilt was carefully crafted, with a crossguard that added to both the functionality and aesthetic of the sword. These features made the Ulfbert sword ideal for Viking combat, where a warrior's skill with their weapon was just as important as the weapon itself. The production of these swords was not without its challenges. The high-quality steel required for their creation was difficult to obtain, and the production methods were complex. The sword makers likely had to source raw materials from distant regions, such as the charcoal needed for forging, which suggests a well-developed trade network. Despite these obstacles, the Ulfbert swords were highly valued, and their production remained a closely guarded secret. Today, historians and metallurgists continue to study the Ulfbert swords, trying to unravel the mystery of their creation. Through advanced techniques like X-ray imaging and spectrometry, experts have been able to analyze the steel's composition and compare it to other ancient weapons. These studies have shown that Ulfbert swords were made with steel of superior quality, much higher than that found in other medieval swords. The purity of the steel allowed the swords to maintain sharpness over long periods, providing Viking warriors with a significant advantage in battle. Interestingly, there were also fake Ulfbert swords produced in later years. These counterfeit versions were often made with lower quality steel and were marked with the Ulfbert name to capitalize on its prestigious reputation. The fact that some swords were fake demonstrates the high value placed on these weapons, which continued even after the Viking Age. So, what can we learn from the Ulfberht swords today? First, they reveal that the Vikings had access to far more advanced technology than previously thought. These weapons weren't just forged from any ordinary metal. They were crafted from a highly sophisticated steel that set them apart from other weapons of the time. This suggests that Viking blacksmiths may have been in possession of forgotten knowledge or advanced techniques that were lost to time, only rediscovered centuries later. The Ulfberht sword stands as a testament to the ingenuity and skill of the Viking people. It challenges our understanding of medieval metallurgy and raises questions about the lost technologies of the past. How did the Vikings come to possess such advanced knowledge of metalworking? And perhaps more intriguingly, what other mysteries lie buried in the annals of history, waiting to be uncovered? In the highlands of Peru, where the rugged peaks of the Andes loom over the land, there stands a monument to ancient engineering that continues to baffle modern scholars. The walls of Sacsayhuaman, with their massive, interlocking stones, seem almost beyond comprehension. Constructed from stones so large and so precisely cut that not even the finest blade can slide between them, these walls defy our understanding of what ancient civilizations were capable of. What makes Sacsayhuaman so remarkable is not just the size of the stones, some weigh over 100 tons, but the way they fit together. These massive blocks, ranging in shape from nearly perfect rectangles to irregular polygons, are placed so precisely that even a hair cannot slip through the joints. The structure was built without mortar, a method that seems impossible given the size and weight of the stones. Yet, the walls have withstood centuries of earthquakes and other natural disasters, their integrity never compromised. The construction of Sacsayhuaman dates back to the 15th century, and while it is often attributed to the Inca civilization, questions abound regarding how the Incas, with their relatively simple tools, were able to accomplish such a feat. The knowledge required to carve and position these massive stones with such precision would have been extraordinary. How did they do it? And why does it still stand today, defying our expectations of ancient engineering? Mainstream archaeological theories suggest that the Incas used primitive tools such as copper chisels and hammers to shape the stones. Yet, experiments have shown that such tools would have been inadequate for the task. Some have speculated that the Incas may have employed an unknown technique to soften the stone, allowing them to shape it with greater ease. One such theory is that the Incas used a plant-based solution, which could have altered the molecular structure of the stone, making it malleable before hardening again. As we continue to examine Sacsayhuaman, another layer of intrigue unfolds when we delve into the advanced stoneworking techniques that may have been used. While mainstream archaeology suggests the use of simple copper tools, the precision of the stone cuts seems to defy the limitations of such tools. Some researchers speculate that the Incas, if they were indeed the creators, may have developed a lost technique that involved advanced heat treatments, or even sonic vibrations to shape the stones. Ancient civilizations were known to have had a deep understanding of natural forces, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that the Incas could have harnessed sound or resonance to aid in the creation of perfectly smooth and precisely aligned blocks. The idea of sound waves being used to manipulate material properties is still a subject of study in modern science. Could it be that the Incas, or a forgotten civilization before them, discovered such methods? The research remains inconclusive, but the stoneworking prowess displayed at the possible influence of lost ancient civilizations. There is another theory that suggests that Sacsayhuaman was not solely the work of the Incas. Could there have been an earlier civilization responsible for the construction of the site, with the Incas inheriting and maintaining it as a sacred site? Some scholars point to the presence of similar megalithic structures in distant parts of the world, from the stone circles of Europe to the massive pyramids of Egypt. The precision of the stonework at Sacsayhuaman is similar to that found at these other ancient sites, leading some researchers to wonder if these cultures shared a common knowledge, one that was passed down through generations, now lost to history. Could ancient builders have been in contact with each other long before recorded history, sharing techniques and ideas that were so advanced they seem almost otherworldly by today's standards? It's an idea that pushes the boundaries of conventional historical understanding, but the evidence of extraordinary stonework at Sacsayhuaman, combined with other ancient megalithic sites, suggests that we may only be scratching the surface of a long-lost network of ancient civilizations that span the globe. As scholars dig deeper, they also look to the myths and legends surrounding the construction of Sacsayhuaman for answers. Local Aymara and Quechua communities speak of their ancestors using advanced techniques, handed down from gods or ancient beings. In fact, the name, Sacsayhuaman, is believed to mean satisfied falcon, a symbol that could point to a higher knowledge or connection to the divine. Recent studies and 3D laser scans have revealed even more curious details about the walls. The intricate patterns and the way the stones fit together suggest a level of planning and understanding of physics that seems far ahead of what we would expect from the 15th century Inca. Some researchers have even pointed to the wall's unique ability to shift and absorb seismic shock, a technique only recently perfected in modern architecture. One of the most puzzling aspects of Sacsayhuaman is the transportation of the stones. The quarry from which the stones were sourced is located several miles away, across difficult, mountainous terrain. No wheel-based technology existed in the region at the time, and the transport of such heavy stones would have posed an enormous challenge. Some theorists believe the Incas may have used a system of log rollers or ramps, while others suggest that they used sound waves or vibrations to levitate the stones. These theories remain speculative, with little direct evidence to support them. Some even suggest that an older civilization, rather than the Incas, may have built Sacsayhuaman, with the Incas later inheriting and maintaining the site. Comparing Sacsayhuaman to other megalithic sites like the Great Pyramids and Stonehenge reveals striking similarities. All feature massive stone blocks fitted with remarkable precision, challenging modern engineering tools. Did these cultures share lost knowledge, or did they independently develop similar techniques based on the same principles of physics and craftsmanship? As we stand before these immense walls, questions remain unanswered. What secrets do Sacsayhuaman's stones hold, and what knowledge did their builders possess that we have yet to uncover? Could this be evidence of a forgotten civilization that once thrived long before the Inca, with knowledge far beyond what we can imagine? Today, Sacsayhuaman stands as both a testament to ancient ingenuity and an enduring mystery. The walls whisper to us from the past, challenging us to rethink what we know about ancient engineering and the lost technologies of the ancient world. High in the deserts of Egypt, amidst the remnants of ancient pyramids and temples, lies a discovery that has puzzled archaeologists and aviation enthusiasts alike. A small wooden artifact, no larger than the palm of your hand, might just be the key to unraveling an ancient mystery, the Saqqara bird. This 2,200-year-old model has the shape and aerodynamic design of what some experts believe to be a miniature airplane, far ahead of its time. The Saqqara bird was discovered in 1898 in the Saqqara region, near the ancient capital of Egypt, Memphis. It was found in the tomb of an unnamed nobleman, who was buried in a grave surrounded by various artifacts. The object itself is made from lightweight sycamore wood, and it's adorned with a stylized bird-like form, complete with a tail and wings that resembled the design of a glider. When examined closely, the model appears to represent more than just a decorative piece. It seems to show a profound understanding of aerodynamics. At first glance, this object seems almost out of place. After all, aviation was not even conceived by modern humans until the early 20th century, over 2 millennia after the Saqqara bird's creation. Yet, Its design strongly suggests an understanding of flight principles. The shape and proportions of the bird's wings closely resemble those of a glider, capable of producing lift and stability in the air. In fact, if this object were scaled up and built to the proper dimensions, it might have had the potential to fly. This presents a perplexing question. How did the ancient Egyptians possess knowledge of aerodynamics centuries before the first successful flight? To further complicate the puzzle, the model was made during the reign of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a time when the Egyptians were still using rudimentary tools, and there's no evidence of advanced aviation technology or flight experimentation during this period. Theories surrounding the Saqqara bird have varied greatly over the years. One of the more popular explanations is that the object was purely symbolic, crafted as a votive offering to the gods, possibly representing the soul of the deceased or a divine messenger. In this view, its flight-like features would be symbolic rather than functional. However, a more intriguing theory posits that the Saqqara bird was actually a model for an ancient flying machine. This idea has gained traction among some researchers, particularly those fascinated by the notion of lost technologies in ancient civilizations. The aerodynamic properties of the bird are strikingly advanced for its time, and several experts argue that the shape of the wings and tail fins suggest it was designed with flight in mind. But how could the ancient Egyptians have known about flight? Some proponents of the flying machine theory suggest that the Egyptians may have observed the flight of birds in great detail, and applied their knowledge of natural principles to create a model that mimics these characteristics. Others point to the possibility that the object was not merely a model but a small-scale representation of an actual working glider. The thought that the ancient Egyptians might have achieved flight centuries before the Wright brothers remains a topic of intense speculation, though no definitive evidence supports this theory. The Saqqara bird is not the only enigmatic artifact from ancient Egypt that hints at the possibility of advanced knowledge lost to time. Similar objects, such as models of animals with highly accurate anatomical features, suggest that the Egyptians had a deep understanding of natural sciences. Additionally, Egyptian depictions of flying machines, seen in some temple reliefs, particularly those at the Temple of Seti I in Abydos, have fueled debates about whether the ancient Egyptians had access to some form of advanced technology that we have yet to fully understand. Recent studies using modern technology have provided new insights into the object's true nature. Using advanced 3D scanning and computer modeling, researchers have been able to study the Saqqara bird's aerodynamic properties in greater detail. When analyzed with the same tools used to study modern aircraft, the model exhibits characteristics that suggest it could, in theory, achieve lift and gliding capabilities. Some experiments even added a vertical stabilizer, which the original bird lacks, and found that with this minor adjustment, the design becomes even more flight-worthy. While there is no evidence that the Saqqara bird was ever intended to fly, the possibility that the Egyptians understood aerodynamics to such an extent is a tantalizing thought. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Egypt was home to many technological innovations that we still don't fully understand, from precision-cut granite in temple interiors to complex medical practices described in ancient papyri. It raises the question, could there have been a forgotten branch of experimentation, now lost to history, in the field of motion and flight? As we move forward, questions still loom large. Was the Saqqara bird merely a symbolic object, a masterpiece of artistic expression, or was it a functional model created with an understanding of the laws of flight? Could ancient civilizations have known about principles of aerodynamics long before modern technology? And if so, what other knowledge have we lost to time? In the end, the Saqqara bird serves as a reminder of the mysteries that still lie buried beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting to be uncovered. It challenges our assumptions about the capabilities of ancient civilizations and leaves us questioning just how much we truly know about the past. The story of the Saqqara bird is far from over, and as technology advances, we may one day unlock the secrets of this remarkable artifact. In the heart of Egypt, where the scorching desert winds whisper through the ruins of ancient temples, one of the world's most enigmatic carvings stares back from the walls of the Dendera temple. The Dendera light, a series of intricate depictions found in the Hathor temple, has sparked a multitude of theories regarding its true meaning. The carvings show what appears to be a light bulb-like shape, with figures holding what look like cables or wires. Could this be evidence of advanced, ancient technology far beyond what we have been taught? Or is there another explanation for these curious images? The carvings were discovered in the early 19th century during an archaeological excavation in the Dendera temple complex, located in the northern part of Egypt. The temple, dedicated to Hathor, the goddess of love and motherhood, has long been a site of fascination for scholars. The carvings in question are found on the ceiling of the inner sanctuary, and they are often referred to as the Dendera light. They depict what seem to be two figures holding a large, cylindrical object with a bulbous end. The object appears to emit light, and the figures seem to be manipulating it in a way that suggests they are using it as a source of illumination. At first glance, the images appear to depict an electric light bulb, an object that would not have been invented until the 19th century. This has led some to suggest that ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge of electricity, or some form of advanced lighting technology that has since been lost to time. The idea that the Egyptians might have had access to electricity long before modern scientists had discovered it is both intriguing and baffling. But the question remains, what exactly are we looking at here? Are these carvings evidence of an advanced technology, or could there be a simpler explanation? One theory is that the images are purely symbolic. They might represent something more mystical or religious, such as the symbolic lighting of the divine or a representation of the sun's rays. Another theory suggests that the carvings may not represent a light bulb at all, but instead, they could depict the Egyptian concept of the lotus flower, or a ceremonial torch that symbolizes divine illumination or spiritual enlightenment. Some even argue that the carvings represent a form of ancient alchemical knowledge, hinting at a deeper understanding of energy and matter. Despite these more traditional explanations, the idea that the Dendera light represents a forgotten technology remains a popular and controversial one. Some researchers have drawn comparisons between the Dendera light and other depictions of mysterious devices in ancient cultures. Similar images of strange, bulb-like objects appear in the art of other ancient civilizations, including those of Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica, and India. Could these cultures have shared a common knowledge of electrical technology that has been lost to history? Or is this just a case of misinterpretation of ancient symbols and iconography? As modern technology continues to evolve, researchers have turned to advanced tools and techniques to explore the Dendera light. 3D scanning, infrared imaging, and high-resolution photography have allowed scientists to examine the carvings with unprecedented detail. These methods have revealed intricate details that were previously hidden, such as the texture and depth of the carvings, which might provide further clues about their meaning. But despite these modern efforts, the mystery of the Dendera light persists. Theories about ancient electrical technology, or the presence of a lost civilization with knowledge far beyond our own remain speculative. Some experts believe that the true meaning of the Dendera light may lie in the realm of ancient myth and religious symbolism, rather than in forgotten science or technology. Still, the question lingers, what if these ancient carvings are not simply symbolic, but evidence of a lost form of knowledge, waiting to be rediscovered? One of the more speculative ideas is that the dendrolite may be linked to a broader mystery of ancient technologies that have vanished over time. Ancient cultures around the world, including the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Mayans, are often associated with monumental achievements that seem to defy the limits of their time. Could these civilizations have developed technologies that were too advanced for their era, only to be lost in the annals of history? Perhaps the dendrolite is just one example of a much larger body of ancient knowledge that has been deliberately hidden or forgotten. Theories of lost civilizations and advanced technologies have long captured the imagination of historians and archaeologists. The idea that ancient peoples may have possessed knowledge of electricity or other forms of power that we have yet to fully understand challenges our conventional view of history. Could the dendrolite be part of a forgotten legacy, a remnant of a lost age where technology and spirituality intertwined in ways we are only beginning to comprehend? Today, the Dendra Temple remains a place of pilgrimage for those fascinated by the mysteries of the ancient world. The carvings continue to draw the attention of researchers, tourists, and theorists alike, each searching for clues that might unlock the secrets of the past. Yet, as the debate continues, one question stands out. Could it be that we are only scratching the surface of a mystery far older and more complex than we have ever imagined? And if so, what does this tell us about the true capabilities of the ancient civilizations that once flourished on this earth? The dendrolite remains a powerful enigma, challenging our understanding of the ancient world and the limits of human knowledge. As we look to the future, it begs us to reconsider what we know about the past and the potential for discovery still hidden beneath the sands of time. Could there be more to the dendrolite than meets the eye? What other ancient secrets are waiting to be uncovered? The answers may be closer than we think, or they may remain lost forever. In ancient China, long before the development of modern seismology, one man crafted a device so advanced that it could detect earthquakes thousands of miles away. This remarkable invention, created by the polymath Zhang Hun, has puzzled historians and scientists for centuries. Known as Zhang Heng's seismoscope, this second-century contraption demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of physics and natural forces, far beyond its time. But what makes this device so extraordinary is not just its ability to sense seismic activity. It's the accuracy with which it could pinpoint the location of distant earthquakes, a feat that would remain unthinkable for centuries to come. Zhang Heng, an astronomer, engineer, and inventor, was a scholar of the Han Dynasty, a period renowned for its advancements in technology, culture, and science. Around 132 CE, Zhang Heng introduced his seismoscope to the imperial court. It was a bronze vessel, elegantly designed with a large central mechanism that housed a series of mechanisms and tubes. Around the edge of the vessel, 8 dragon heads were positioned, each connected to a small ball held inside the mouth of the dragon. The device was more than just an intricate piece of technology. It was a marvel of engineering designed to sense and record seismic activity. The principle was simple yet revolutionary. When an earthquake occurred, the vibrations would cause the balls to drop from the dragon's mouths, signaling the direction from which the quake originated. The ingenuity of Zhang Heng's seismoscope lies in its ability to accurately determine the direction of an earthquake's epicenter. According to historical accounts, the device would drop one of the balls into a corresponding frog-shaped receptacle position below the dragon heads. Each ball was associated with one of the 8 cardinal directions, allowing the device to pinpoint the location of an earthquake with remarkable precision. It is believed that the seismoscope could detect earthquakes as far as 500 kilometers, over 300 miles, away, a distance that would have been astonishing to those living in the 2nd century. But despite its incredible functionality, the seismoscope's true workings remain a mystery. How could a device built nearly 2,000 years ago be so finely tuned to detect earthquakes so far away? And why did Zhang Hun, a man who was deeply involved in astronomy and mathematics, choose to devote his time to studying the natural phenomenon of earthquakes? Was this device part of a larger, yet to be understood, scientific framework? Zhang Hun was a man of many talents, and while his seismoscope remains his most famous invention, his contributions to the study of the stars and the development of the water-powered armillary sphere demonstrate that he was not merely an observer of the natural world, but a brilliant inventor capable of shaping the future of science. Some scholars believe that the seismoscope's design was influenced by Zhang Heng's deep understanding of hydraulics and mechanical systems. The device was driven by the principle of resonance, in which the movement of the Earth during an earthquake would set the seismoscope's internal mechanism into motion. This allowed the device to detect even the slightest tremors. Yet, despite its brilliance, the device was not perfect. It was highly sensitive to vibrations, and over time, the design would have been prone to wear and tear. Its accuracy, although impressive for its time, was still limited by the materials available in ancient China. But why did Zhang Heng's seismoscope disappear from historical record for so many centuries? Some historians argue that the technology was simply too advanced for its time, overshadowed by other inventions and scientific pursuits. Others speculate that the seismoscope was destroyed or lost during periods of political turmoil in China's long and tumultuous history. Regardless, the seismoscope was eventually forgotten, and for many centuries, no further attempts were made to develop a device capable of detecting earthquakes with such precision. In more recent years, Zhang Heng's seismoscope has been the subject of renewed interest, particularly as modern scientists and engineers have sought to understand the mechanics behind this ancient device. Experts have analyzed the design and attempted to recreate the seismoscope using modern materials and methods. Some believe that the key to understanding the seismoscope lies in its internal mechanism, which likely employed a system of levers and springs that responded to seismic activity. Modern replicas of the seismoscope have demonstrated that, when calibrated correctly, the device is indeed capable of detecting earthquakes from significant distances. This has led some researchers to speculate that Zhang Heng's seismoscope could have been an early precursor to the seismic detection systems we use today. However, despite these modern efforts, the exact working principle of Zhang Heng's seismoscope is still not fully understood. The concept of detecting seismic waves and pinpointing an earthquake's epicenter was far beyond the scope of other scientific endeavors in the 2nd century. It raises intriguing questions about the lost knowledge and technologies of ancient civilizations. Were ancient cultures capable of developing sophisticated devices like the seismoscope, only to see them disappear in the wake of societal upheaval? Or could there have been knowledge that was intentionally hidden or lost to history, leaving us to rediscover it millennia later? In a broader sense, Zhang Heng's seismoscope challenges our assumptions about ancient technology. It forces us to reconsider what ancient civilizations were capable of, and whether the gap between ancient and modern knowledge is as wide as we once thought. If such a device existed in the 2nd century, what other technologies might have been lost or hidden from history? Zhang Heng's seismoscope is not just a remarkable piece of engineering. It's a tantalizing glimpse into a world of scientific knowledge that has largely faded from our collective memory. Today, the legacy of Zhang Heng's seismoscope continues to inspire modern seismic research. Scientists and engineers working in the field of seismology draw upon the ancient principles of resonance and mechanical detection that Zhang Heng pioneered. With the help of modern technology, we now understand the complex nature of seismic waves and how to predict earthquakes with much greater precision. But the fact remains, Zhang Heng's 2nd century device was centuries ahead of its time. As we look back on the mysteries of the past, we're left to wonder, what else from ancient history has been lost or forgotten? How much of our understanding of the natural world was once shared by civilizations now long gone? And how much more is out there, waiting to be rediscovered? Zhang Heng's seismoscope is just one example of the incredible feats of engineering and knowledge that ancient civilizations were capable of, and as we continue to unearth more about their legacies, the mysteries grow deeper. In the end, Zhongheng's seismoscope may be more than just a historical artifact. It's a reminder that there is still much we don't know about the world of the past, and perhaps even more about the potential of human ingenuity to transcend time. In the cold, remote landscapes of Siberia, beneath layers of soil and centuries of history, a mysterious relic was uncovered, an ancient wooden idol, so old it predated written language. This artifact, known as the Shigar idol, stands as one of the oldest and most enigmatic human creations ever discovered. At a staggering 12,000 years old, it is a relic from the depths of prehistory, from a time when humans were still in the early stages of their development as modern beings. The discovery took place in 1894, when a team of construction workers, digging for peat in the Urals, stumbled upon the Shigar idol, buried deep within the bog. Initially, it appeared to be just a collection of decayed wood, but closer examination revealed an intricately carved statue, a striking figure, standing over 9 feet tall, with a series of detailed carvings that seemed to defy explanation. The idol was found to have a series of symbols and geometric patterns etched into its surface, many of which were far older than anything else from that era. These symbols, unlike anything known to have existed at the time, hinted at the potential for an advanced understanding of art, culture, and perhaps even communication. But what makes the Shigar idol so astonishing is not just its age or its craftsmanship. The carvings on the idol are covered in strange symbols, geometric shapes, spirals, and patterns, which are believed to represent some form of communication. These symbols are not part of any known alphabet or language, leaving researchers to speculate about their meaning. Some even argue that these markings might predate written language altogether, challenging our understanding of the timeline of human development. Could these symbols be a form of proto-writing? Or were they simply decorative, with no deeper significance? What makes the Shigar idol even more perplexing is the fact that it was created by people who lived long before the rise of civilization. The people who made the Shigar idol were part of a hunter-gatherer society, living at a time when early humans were still evolving in terms of tool use and social organization. They had no written language, no advanced technology, and no known methods for creating such an intricate and large sculpture. How, then, did these people carve a statue so precise, and so imbued with meaning, so many thousands of years ago? What was their purpose in creating such a remarkable object, and why was it buried so deep within the earth? Over the years, several theories have emerged about the origins and significance of the Shigar idol. Some believe it could be a religious artifact, used in ancient rituals to represent gods or spirits. Others think it could have been a symbol of power or authority, perhaps marking a leader or a sacred site. There is also the possibility that the idol was created to mark a significant event or achievement in the life of the people who carved it. But perhaps the most intriguing theory is that the symbols on the idol represent an early form of writing, a precursor to the alphabets that would emerge thousands of years later. This theory, though highly speculative, raises the tantalizing possibility that the people who created the Shigar idol were not simply artists, but communicators with a complex system of symbolism, far ahead of their time. In addition to the idol itself, archaeological digs in the region have uncovered several related artifacts, fragments of tools, remnants of ancient settlements, and evidence of early human habitation. These findings suggest that the people who created the Shigar idol were part of a larger cultural group with advanced knowledge of their environment. It is possible that the idol served as part of a broader cultural or spiritual tradition, one that is now lost to history. Some have even speculated that the people who created the Shigar idol had contact with other, more advanced civilizations of the time, exchanging knowledge and cultural practices. This theory, while intriguing, remains speculative, as there is no direct evidence to support such claims. Modern analysis of the Shigar idol has revealed even more astonishing details. Researchers have used advanced carbon dating techniques to confirm the age of the idol, placing it firmly at around 12,000 years old, a time when the Ice Age was still in full swing, and the land would have been a harsh and unforgiving place. The idol's intricate carvings suggest a highly developed understanding of geometry and symbolism, while the preservation of the wooden figure in the bog has provided an extraordinary glimpse into ancient craftsmanship. Yet, despite these advances in technology, the full meaning of the idol remains elusive. What did the creators intend to convey through the idol's strange markings? What did they see in their world that compelled them to create such an object? As researchers continue to study the idol, new technologies are shedding light on its construction. Digital imaging and 3D modeling have allowed scientists to study the fine details of the carvings, which are almost too intricate to be fully appreciated by the naked eye. But even with these advances, there are still many unanswered questions. Why was the idol created with such precision and care? What does the idol tell us about the people who carved it, and their understanding of the world around them? Could it be that the sugar idol holds the key to understanding an entire lost culture, one whose language, traditions, and knowledge have been lost to time? The sugar idol raises more questions than it answers. It forces us to reconsider the timelines of human history and development. If the people who created the idol had such advanced knowledge of symbolism and geometry, what else did they know? Could it be that our understanding of prehistory is incomplete, and that ancient peoples were far more sophisticated than we once thought? In the end, the sugar idol is more than just an artifact. It is a mystery, a symbol of the lost knowledge and skills of ancient humans. It challenges our assumptions about the early development of human societies and reminds us that much of our past remains unknown. As we continue to study the idol and uncover more about the people who created it, we are left with a haunting question. What other secrets from the distant past remain hidden, waiting to be uncovered? What knowledge and wisdom have been lost to time, and what might we learn if we could piece it together again? The sugar idol remains a testament to the ingenuity and mystery of ancient cultures, a symbol of human creativity that continues to captivate our imaginations and challenge our understanding of the past. It serves as a reminder that, in the grand tapestry of history, there is still so much more to discover. In the heart of the Byzantine Empire, a weapon was forged that would change the course of history. Known only as Greek fire, it was a terrifying incendiary substance that could burn through the very waves of the sea. Its devastating power in naval warfare made it the stuff of legend, and for centuries, it was the empire's most closely guarded secret. Yet, despite its immense importance, the recipe for Greek fire has been lost to time, leaving behind only hints and fragmented accounts of its terrifying effectiveness. Greek fire was first used in battle during the 7th century, a time when the Byzantine Empire was embroiled in relentless wars against a range of enemies, from the Persians to the Arabs. The weapon's true origins remain uncertain, but it is believed to have been created by a Byzantine Greek engineer named Callinicus of Heliopolis. As the story goes, Callinicus was summoned by Emperor Constantine IV to devise a way to defend Constantinople from the advancing Arab forces. The result was a chemical weapon that would give the Byzantines an incredible advantage in naval combat, as well as on land. It was said to burn on water, an almost impossible feat for any fire, and could be deployed in large quantities from ships and land-based devices. The weapon's true nature was so terrifying that it sparked a wave of awe and fear across the ancient world. Greek fire was reportedly used to sink entire fleets, with its flames capable of burning through enemy ships, their crew, and even the sea itself. Its composition, however, was kept a closely guarded secret. For centuries, no one outside of the Byzantine Empire knew the exact ingredients or how it was made, making Greek fire both a symbol of the empire's military power and a puzzle that still remains unsolved today. What makes Greek fire so intriguing and so elusive is the fact that despite numerous accounts of its use and descriptions of its terrifying effects, the exact recipe remains unknown. Ancient sources tell us that the substance was a sticky, tar-like fluid that could be launched through tubes, thrown in pots, or used as part of a flame-throwing device. It was said to burn even when it came in contact with water, a property that had never been seen before in any known fire-producing substance. The weapon was so powerful that it was said to burn through wood, metal, and even stone. But how did it work? What made it burn so fiercely and so impossibly on water? Over the centuries, various theories have been proposed about the composition of Greek fire. Some suggest it was a combination of oil, sulfur, and resin, while others believe it involved the use of quicklime, a highly reactive compound that could burn on contact with water. Another theory posits that Greek fire may have been based on the use of naphtha, a naturally occurring flammable oil, or a mixture of substances that included saltpeter, the key ingredient in gunpowder. However, none of these theories has been proven, and the recipe for Greek fire remains a mystery. In addition to its chemical composition, the method by which Greek fire was deployed adds another layer of intrigue to its legacy. The Byzantines were said to have used a variety of devices to launch the weapon, including the famous Greek fire siphon, a sort of ancient flamethrower. The siphon allowed the user to spray a stream of Greek fire from a ship or a fortified tower, giving the Byzantines a terrifying edge in naval battles. But how these siphons worked, and whether they were the only method of delivering Greek fire, is another unanswered question. Some scholars have even suggested that Greek fire was more than just a simple incendiary weapon. Could it have been a psychological weapon, designed not only to destroy but to instill fear and panic among enemy forces? The sheer terror it inspired was enough to make it one of the most feared weapons of the ancient world, and its legacy lived on for centuries. The fact that the secret was so carefully guarded, and that no other civilization was able to replicate it, adds to the mystery. As historians and scientists continue to delve into the mystery of Greek fire, modern technology is helping to shed light on its composition. Chemical analysis of ancient texts and archaeological finds has provided some clues about the weapon's possible ingredients, but no definitive answers have emerged. The true composition of Greek fire remains elusive, and it seems unlikely that we will ever know the full recipe. Yet, the mystery surrounding it continues to captivate the imagination of scholars and laypeople alike. The closest we have come to recreating Greek fire today is through modern flame-throwing technology, but even these devices lack the power and mystique of the original weapon. Greek fire was not just a tool of war, it was a symbol of Byzantine power, and it's likely that the secret of its composition was lost intentionally, in an effort to maintain the empire's dominance on the battlefield. As we continue to search for answers about Greek fire, we are left with more questions than solutions. Was the weapon truly as powerful as ancient accounts suggest, or were its effects exaggerated over time? And if we could replicate it today, would we be able to harness its terrifying potential, or would we find ourselves in the grip of a mystery that is better left unsolved? The legacy of Greek fire raises another question that haunts us. How much ancient knowledge has been lost to time? What other deadly and powerful technologies existed in the ancient world? And how much of that knowledge has been buried with the fall of empires and the passing of generations? Greek fire serves as a reminder of the fragility of knowledge and the mysteries that remain hidden in the depths of history. In the end, the true nature of Greek fire may never be known, but its story serves as a testament to the power of human innovation and the enduring mystery of the past. It remains one of the most fascinating and enduring puzzles of ancient warfare, and the shadow it casts still lingers over our understanding of the ancient world. What other forgotten technologies, like Greek fire, remain hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? And will we ever truly understand the secrets of the past? Or will they forever burn brightly in the flames of history, out of our reach? In the ancient heart of Lebanon lies a mystery that has puzzled archaeologists, engineers, and historians for centuries. In Baalbek, a city with a history that stretches back over 5,000 years, stands a massive testament to ancient engineering, the trilithon stones. These enormous stone blocks, some weighing more than 800 tons, form part of the temple complex in Baalbek, a site that has fascinated those who study ancient civilizations. But how were these colossal stones, some of the largest ever moved in the ancient world, transported and precisely stacked in their positions? To this day, the methods behind their movement and construction remain one of the greatest enigmas of antiquity. The discovery of the trilithon stones is not a recent event. The stones have been known for centuries, with the first reports of the site dating back to the 18th century. However, the full extent of the mystery surrounding their construction began to unfold much later, particularly during the 19th and 20th centuries when archaeologists and engineers began closely examining the site. What they found was astonishing. 3 massive stones, each weighing over 800 tons, were stacked with near-perfect precision in a massive foundation platform of the Temple of Jupiter. These stones, which are known as the trilithon, remain an unparalleled feat of ancient engineering, even by modern standards. What makes the trilithon stones so puzzling is not just their size, but the fact that, in ancient times, such stones would have been almost impossible to move. The largest stones used in other ancient structures, such as the Egyptian pyramids, weigh a fraction of what the Baalbek stones do. Modern engineering, heavy machinery, and advanced tools are required to move such immense blocks. Yet, the trilithon stones were moved and placed with incredible precision, and the tools and techniques used to do so remain a mystery. How could a civilization thousands of years ago accomplish such a feat? Several theories have been proposed over the years, but none provide definitive answers. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the builders used a combination of manual labor, ramps, and levers to move the stones. Some speculate that an army of laborers worked tirelessly, using primitive tools to drag the stones into place. Others believe that an elaborate system of ramps, possibly spiral or straight, was used to lift the massive stones up into the air. However, the sheer scale of the project raises questions. Could such a vast workforce have been sustained for long periods? Could they have worked with the precision needed to align the stones so perfectly? There are also more speculative theories that suggest advanced technology or knowledge might have been used, lost to time. Some suggest that the builders of Baalbek may have had access to a form of lost technology, perhaps even harnessing techniques we have not yet rediscovered. The stones themselves, some of which appear to have been shaped with extraordinary precision, hint at a level of craftsmanship that seems almost beyond the capabilities of ancient civilizations. Other theories consider the influence of external forces. Some have pointed to the possibility that the technology used to construct the trilithon may not have originated from the region at all. Could the knowledge have been passed down from a more advanced civilization that existed before the known ancient cultures? In fact, many believe that Baalbek may have been a sacred site long before the Roman period, and that the stones could predate the Romans by millennia, possibly built by an earlier, unknown civilization with capabilities far beyond what we thought possible. There are also alternative ideas rooted in the cultural and religious significance of the site. In ancient times, Baalbek was a major religious center, dedicated to the god Jupiter. Some scholars argue that the stone construction was an act of divine symbolism, connecting the earth to the heavens, or symbolizing the might of the gods. Could the construction have been influenced by religious beliefs, guiding the builders to achieve the impossible? Interestingly, Baalbek is not the only site where giant stones have been used in construction. There are numerous other ancient sites around the world, including in Egypt, South America, and parts of Europe, that also feature massive stones of unknown origin and placement methods. Sites like Stonehenge in England and the Pumapunku complex in Bolivia raise similar questions about ancient civilizations' ability to move and manipulate such colossal stones. While these sites differ in cultural context and geography, they all share an underlying mystery. How were these monumental tasks accomplished? modern analysis of the trilithon stones uses a combination of techniques to explore their composition and construction. Geophysical surveys, 3D mapping, and computer simulations have allowed researchers to study the stones in greater detail, though no conclusive evidence has been found to explain how the stones were moved or shaped. Theories continue to evolve, and every new discovery adds another layer to the mystery. One of the challenges faced by modern researchers is the lack of surviving records from the time of Baalbek's construction. The city's significance declined over the centuries, and by the time the Romans arrived, much of the original knowledge about its construction had already been lost. The Romans themselves did their best to improve upon the site, building the grand temple that still stands today, but the original builders of the trilithon left no written records to explain how they accomplished their seemingly impossible task. Today, Baalbek continues to be a major archaeological site, attracting scholars and tourists alike who marvel at the skill and precision involved in its construction. The question of how the trilithon stones were moved remains unsolved, but perhaps that is what makes it all the more captivating. What technologies or methods were employed to accomplish such a feat? Did the builders of Baalbek possess knowledge that we have yet to rediscover? As we continue to search for answers, we are confronted with the possibility that the ancient world may have held secrets far beyond our current understanding. Were the builders of Baalbek just highly skilled engineers? Or did they possess a knowledge of materials and techniques that allowed them to accomplish feats we can barely imagine today? And if they did, where did that knowledge come from, and why was it lost? The mystery of the Baalbek trilithon stones is not just about ancient construction techniques. It challenges our understanding of what was possible in the ancient world and raises questions about what other lost technologies might be waiting to be discovered. What other ancient sites around the world hold secrets we have yet to uncover? And what knowledge have we lost over the centuries that could change the way we view our history? The trilithon stones remind us that there is still much about the past that remains hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. The answer may lie buried beneath the ruins of ancient sites, or perhaps in the stones themselves. In the 3rd century BC, as the mighty Roman Empire clashed with the city-state of Syracuse on the island of Sicily, a brilliant Greek scientist named Archimedes is said to have devised a remarkable weapon. According to ancient accounts, Archimedes' death ray was a solar-powered weapon capable of setting enemy ships ablaze by concentrating the sun's rays onto their wooden hulls. This idea, blending engineering with natural forces, captured the imagination of generations, but the question remains, did such a weapon ever exist, or is it merely a myth? The first references to Archimedes' death ray come from the writings of historians like Plutarch and Lucian, who lived centuries after Archimedes' death. They described how Archimedes used large polished bronze mirrors to focus sunlight onto enemy ships during the Roman siege of Syracuse. According to these accounts, the weapon was so effective that it could destroy ships from a distance, leaving the Romans helpless against the mighty forces of nature harnessed by a single mind. But no physical evidence has ever been found to support this claim, and scholars have long debated whether the death ray was a real invention or an exaggeration by ancient writers. The puzzle lies in whether such a device could have actually worked in the first place. The ancient accounts describe a mechanism where mirrors, likely of bronze or other highly reflective material, were positioned in such a way that sunlight could be concentrated onto a target, generating enough heat to start a fire. While Archimedes was undoubtedly a genius of his time, known for his work in geometry, mechanics, and even the invention of war machines like the claw of Archimedes, there's no surviving technical explanation or design for a solar weapon like the death ray. Was this a leap of imagination, or could it have been possible? Several scientific theories have been proposed over the years, though none are definitive. One of the main questions is whether the amount of sunlight reflected off mirrors could ever have been concentrated enough to ignite a ship. Some researchers argue that the mirrors, even if they were highly polished, would not have been able to focus the sun's rays to such an extent. Others suggest that the sheer scale of the mirrors needed would have made it impractical, especially considering the lack of precision engineering tools at the time. Could Archimedes have really assembled such a device with the technology available in the 3rd century BC? Yet, there are modern experiments that suggest it could have been feasible. In 1973, a group of engineers and scientists from the University of Massachusetts built a replica of Archimedes' death ray using polished mirrors and a small wooden ship. After conducting a series of experiments, they were able to ignite the ship using sunlight alone, though it required very specific conditions, such as clear skies and the perfect alignment of mirrors to concentrate the light. The results were impressive but also sobering. Even with modern materials and technology, the feat required careful setup and did not work in all conditions. This experiment brought renewed interest to the mystery of the death ray, but it also raised important questions about the practicality of such a weapon in ancient times. Could the mirrors have been large enough and reflective enough to generate sufficient heat? How could such a device have been operated effectively during a battle, where quick action and precision would be critical? And perhaps most importantly, why is there no concrete evidence of such a weapon ever being used during Archimedes' lifetime, despite the detailed descriptions in later historical texts? Some scholars believe that the death ray might have been exaggerated or misinterpreted over time. It is possible that ancient writers, such as Plutarch and Lucian, were embellishing the story to highlight Archimedes' brilliance, or perhaps they misunderstood the true nature of Archimedes' inventions. Ancient siege warfare was highly inventive, and Archimedes was well known for his mechanical innovations. His real contributions, like the development of war machines such as catapults and the aforementioned claw of Archimedes, were undoubtedly formidable and likely far more impactful in the defense of Syracuse. The question of whether Archimedes truly invented a solar weapon also brings up broader questions about the lost technologies of the ancient world. If Archimedes, with his genius and engineering knowledge, could have developed such a weapon, what other ancient technologies have been lost to time? Were there other civilizations with the knowledge to harness natural forces in ways we have yet to understand? The mystery of Archimedes' death ray, whether fact or fiction, stands as a reminder of how much we still have to learn about the ancient world. Theories about the death ray's possible existence also raise intriguing connections to other ancient myths of advanced technology. In various cultures, there are stories of weapons that harness the power of the elements, from fire to lightning. The ancient Indian epics, like the Mahabharata, contain tales of powerful weapons capable of extraordinary destruction. While many of these stories are regarded as mythological, they nonetheless suggest a cultural fascination with the idea of using natural forces as tools of war. Could there be more to these stories than mere legend? What other ancient technologies, lost to the ages, might one day be rediscovered? As we explore these questions, we must also consider the ways modern science can shed light on the past. In addition to experiments with mirrors, scholars have applied modern computational methods to analyze the feasibility of the death ray. Some have modeled the reflection and concentration of light using computer simulations, exploring whether Archimedes' theoretical weapon could have ignited a ship. These simulations suggest that, under perfect conditions, it might have been possible, but there is still no conclusive evidence that such a weapon was ever built or used in ancient warfare. The mystery of Archimedes' death ray remains unresolved, with no definitive proof that it existed in the form described by ancient texts. However, the possibility that such an invention could have been made by one of history's greatest minds adds another layer to our understanding of ancient innovation and warfare. The search for answers continues, as researchers examine ancient texts, experiment with historical reconstructions, and seek to understand the true extent of Archimedes' genius. Could Archimedes have created a solar weapon that set fire to enemy ships, or is this merely a fantastical story woven over time? What other mysteries from the ancient world might one day be uncovered, revealing the extent of forgotten technologies? As we continue to delve into these ancient mysteries, one thing remains certain: the genius of Archimedes, and the wonders of the ancient world, will continue to captivate our imagination. In the remote highlands of ancient Peru, a practice emerged that defied the understanding of medicine for centuries. Long before modern surgery was even conceived, people were performing brain surgery with astonishing precision and high survival rates. This practice, known as trepanation, involved the removal of part of the skull, a procedure that left no known records of catastrophic failure. How could a civilization so long ago, with rudimentary tools and a limited understanding of anatomy, accomplish what modern medicine only perfected in recent centuries? The practice of trepanation has been documented in numerous ancient cultures across the world, but it's the Peruvian evidence that stands out in its complexity and success. Archaeologists first uncovered evidence of ancient skull surgeries in the Peruvian Andes, where burial sites revealed skulls with circular holes, clearly made intentionally. These skulls, some dating back to 1000 BC, were found across various sites, particularly in regions inhabited by pre-Incan civilizations, such as the Nazca and Paracas cultures. Upon examining these skulls, researchers discovered something unexpected. Many of these individuals survived the surgery. The evidence is found in the signs of bone healing around the openings, indicating that the patients not only survived the procedure, but were able to live for a significant period afterward. The question immediately arises: how did the ancient Peruvians possess the skill and knowledge to perform such complex surgeries with such success? The puzzle deepens when we consider the tools used by these ancient surgeons. Evidence shows that they employed rudimentary stone tools, such as obsidian knives, to carefully cut through the skull. The precision required to avoid damaging the brain, while also preventing infection in an age without antibiotics or modern antiseptics, seems impossible by modern standards. Yet, the high survival rates suggest a level of sophistication and understanding of the human body that was far beyond what would be expected from a civilization of that time. Several theories have been proposed to explain how this ancient practice could have developed. One possibility is that the procedure was related to medical treatments for head injuries. Many of the skulls show signs of trauma, healed fractures and wounds, suggesting that trepanation might have been used to treat head injuries sustained during conflict or accidents. By removing parts of the skull, surgeons could have alleviated pressure on the brain caused by swelling or hemorrhaging, significantly increasing the chances of survival after trauma. Other theories suggest that trepanation may have had spiritual or ritualistic significance. In ancient Peru, as in many other cultures, the skull was believed to house the soul, and the act of modifying it might have been seen as a way to influence the spirit world. Some scholars speculate that trepanation was a form of ritual sacrifice, or an attempt to release evil spirits from the body. In this context, the skill involved in the procedure could have been deeply connected to religious or cultural beliefs, rather than purely practical medical necessity. A deeper dive into related artifacts sheds more light on these theories. Alongside the trepan skulls, researchers have uncovered various ceremonial objects and evidence of spiritual practices, including offerings to deities or ancestors. This suggests that the practice of trepanation may have been as much about the metaphysical as the physical, an attempt to bridge the human experience with the divine. Comparing these findings with trepanation practices in other ancient cultures, such as those of the Celts, Egyptians, and even early European tribes, provides additional context. While the ancient Peruvians were not unique in practicing trepanation, their high survival rate sets them apart. In other regions, trepanation was often crude, with many individuals failing to survive the operation. Why was ancient Peru so successful? Modern analysis has brought new tools to help us understand these ancient procedures. Advanced imaging technology, such as CT scans and 3D reconstructions, allows scientists to examine the skulls without damaging them. This technology has revealed the depth of the cuts, the careful way in which the bones were removed, and the methods used to ensure that the brain was not harmed. Modern surgeons have also studied these ancient techniques, learning that the method of creating a hole in the skull, rather than removing large sections, may have been crucial to the survival of patients. The precision and care with which the procedure was performed were likely what made it possible for the individuals to recover. The use of stone tools also offers insight into the skill involved. Obsidian, a volcanic glass known for its sharpness, was likely used for its ability to make precise incisions. This knowledge of materials and their properties is yet another example of how the ancient Peruvians understood the natural world, even without the advanced technology that we take for granted today. So, what can we learn from these ancient practices? The fact that trepanation was performed with such success suggests a deep understanding of both the human body and the environment. The Peruvian surgeons of ancient times were able to work with the resources they had, and their techniques, though primitive by modern standards, were remarkably effective. They proved that, even without the tools of modern science, human ingenuity and observation could lead to remarkable medical advancements. Yet, the question remains, how did such a profound understanding of medicine emerge in a society without modern technology? Did the ancient Peruvians have knowledge passed down through generations, or were their techniques based on trial and error? How much more did they understand about the human body that we are only beginning to uncover today? The mystery of ancient Peruvian brain surgery opens the door to many unanswered questions. What other advanced practices might have been lost to time, buried beneath the sands of history? As we continue to study the ancient world, the potential to uncover new insights into the lost technologies of our ancestors remains vast. What secrets lie beneath the surface of our understanding, waiting to be revealed? Could ancient knowledge, once thought to be beyond their reach, have been far more advanced than we ever imagined? The surviving evidence of trepanation in ancient Peru leaves us to wonder, what other forgotten medical breakthroughs might still be hidden in the past? In the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey, hidden beneath layers of time and history, lies a site that has baffled archaeologists and historians for decades. Göbekli Tepe, a sprawling complex of stone pillars, is thought to be over 12,000 years old, predating even the dawn of agriculture, cities, and advanced tools. Yet, here it stands, a monument to an ancient civilization that defies all conventional understanding of human history. How could a group of hunter-gatherers, without the tools or resources we associate with monumental construction, build such a sophisticated and elaborate temple? Göbekli Tepe was first discovered in the mid-1990s by a team of Turkish archaeologists led by Klaus Schmidt, who identified the site as something entirely unprecedented. What they uncovered were massive, T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing as much as 10 tons, arranged in circles. These pillars were intricately carved with images of animals, abstract symbols, and mysterious figures, suggesting a site of great religious or cultural significance. Dating the site to around 9600 BC, long before the rise of Mesopotamian civilizations, the find challenged established notions of prehistoric human development. What makes Göbekli Tepe particularly puzzling is its age. The site is older than the first known evidence of agriculture, older than the first permanent settlements, and older than the first use of metal tools. The very existence of such a complex site suggests that the people who built it were far more advanced than we once believed. But how did they manage it? There are no clear signs of permanent habitation, and no evidence of farming or domestication of animals. The tools needed to carve the massive stones and construct such an intricate site simply weren't available to a nomadic society. The puzzle deepens when we consider that there was no clear reason for hunter-gatherers to build a structure of this magnitude. What drove them to invest so much effort into constructing a site that had no apparent practical purpose, such as shelter or storage? Several theories attempt to explain the mystery of Göbekli Tepe, each offering a different perspective on its function and significance. One widely accepted theory is that the site was a religious or ceremonial center, a gathering place for hunter-gatherer communities to engage in rituals, religious practices, or astronomical observations. The carvings on the pillars, depicting animals like lions, snakes, and birds, are thought to represent the spiritual beliefs of the people who constructed the site, potentially invoking deities or totemic figures. Some scholars suggest that Göbekli Tepe may have served as a center for shamanistic rituals, where spiritual leaders or shamans performed ceremonies to connect with the supernatural world. Another theory posits that Göbekli Tepe was used as a form of social or political gathering, where various groups came together to form alliances, exchange knowledge, or reinforce social hierarchies. The site could have acted as a focal point for communal activities, where different groups of people from a vast region would converge to mark important events, such as solstices or other astronomical occurrences. The idea of a shared collective space brings a new understanding of how early humans may have organized themselves in complex social networks, long before the advent of settled farming communities. But perhaps the most radical theory is that Göbekli Tepe was built by an advanced civilization that predates even the earliest known human societies. This theory suggests that the builders of the site had knowledge and skills far beyond the hunter-gatherer level, possibly even knowledge that was lost in the millennia that followed. This idea is often linked to theories of ancient advanced civilizations or extraterrestrial influence, though these remain highly speculative and lack solid evidence. A deeper exploration of related sites and artifacts provides more context for understanding Göbekli Tepe. For instance, in nearby regions, archaeologists have found other megalithic sites, though none quite as old or as elaborate. However, the sheer scale and intricacy of Göbekli Tepe make it an outlier in the prehistoric world. The discovery of similar stone circles and structures, such as those found in Malta and the British Isles, suggests that large-scale stone construction was not unique to Göbekli Tepe, but the age of the site still sets it apart. In addition to its physical features, the alignment of the pillars in Göbekli Tepe has sparked further debate. Some researchers have suggested that the site was aligned with astronomical events, particularly the movement of the stars or the solstices. This connection to the heavens would support the idea of the site being used for religious or ritualistic purposes, as many ancient cultures often link their spiritual practices to celestial bodies. Modern scientific techniques are beginning to shed more light on the construction methods used at Göbekli Tepe. Archaeologists are using ground-penetrating radar and 3D scanning to create detailed models of the site, allowing them to understand the extent of the underground structures and the complexity of the layout. Recent excavations have uncovered additional layers of the site, indicating that it may have been built and rebuilt multiple times over centuries, possibly by different groups of people. This suggests that the site may have held enduring significance over generations, evolving with the changing needs and beliefs of the people who used it. Another significant tool in modern analysis is the study of the carvings on the stones. Using advanced imaging technology, researchers have been able to analyze the fine details of the animal depictions and symbols on the pillars. These carvings offer valuable insights into the worldview of the people who built the site, revealing a complex symbolic language that could have been linked to religious or astrological knowledge. While the meaning of these symbols remains elusive, their presence suggests that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of their environment and how it related to their spiritual practices. Göbekli Tepe raises more questions than it answers. How could a society of hunter-gatherers, with no evidence of agriculture or permanent settlements, build such an extraordinary structure? What motivated them to invest such enormous effort into the creation of this site? Was it a purely religious or ceremonial space, or did it serve a deeper, more complex function in early human society? As we continue to study and explore Göbekli Tepe, the mystery deepens. With every new discovery, the implications for our understanding of human history become more profound. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? Was Göbekli Tepe truly a place of great spiritual significance, or was it something more, a monument to a forgotten knowledge and a lost civilization? The site remains one of the greatest puzzles of ancient history, its purpose and meaning still shrouded in mystery. Yet, the story of Göbekli Tepe challenges us to rethink our assumptions about the origins of human civilization. What if the true history of our species is far more complex, ancient, and mysterious than we ever imagined? We've just explored ancient surgeries that defy modern expectations, temples older than farming itself, and tools that whisper of forgotten knowledge. And now you have to ask yourself, is it possible that history, as we know it, is missing more than just a few chapters? Who really built these structures with such impossible precision? How did so many cultures develop advanced techniques, seemingly without any connection? And why do so many of these answers disappear, just when we get close? If these questions are still echoing in your mind, that's exactly why we're here. Thank you to everyone who's joined us so far. To our first 150 subscribers, you're not just watching. You're helping rewrite what we think we know. You've chosen to unlock the unknown, and if you haven't yet, this is your moment. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the team that never stops asking questions. And if this video opened new questions for you, or left some still unanswered, don't stop here. Because if there are still questions in your mind, this next video will answer them all.